Hey everyone, my name is Saf. You're watching Rayon Tech TV, and today in this session, we'll be continuing on the UI UX development series for Appian. And today, we will be discussing on a very exciting topic called, let me pick one. Today, we will study milestone. So, milestone is very essential part for any project because most of the Appian applications are related to client confidential or business data because we are obviously solving business processes, and every process has a series of steps, right? And that steps needs to be acknowledged by the user who is going through that uh, process level experience. So we are having the milestone. Let's study about milestone and what is actually used to build milestone. So let me clear the code for the previous session. Go to design mode and drop a milestone component. So as you can see, when we drop the milestone component, so we got a standard milestone and we are having a milestone field function for it. So it starts with a bank milestone field with label and label position. I don't think that you need to get an understanding on this because these are the common properties which are available in most of the components. Next, we are having steps and links and active. So let's explore this. Let's see what are the insights for this one. So milestone field is nothing but when you are having a series of steps to be followed, you can showcase to the user on which step he is lying, and based upon that, he'll be able to understand that how the customer journey is following up with whatever business application that you are building up. So this is just a standard component which you may see in different projects with different stylings. Appian has provided us a component with a standard demarcation. So let's see how we can actually use it. Right now, you can see that this is just a field. It is not connected with any step, how we can make it dynamic, how to call the child interfaces below it. So let's explore it now. So as you can see that we are having a bank milestone field with label and label position, and there are steps. Whatever step that you define here, that is a list of text string as of now. You can see this is a list of text string. Whatever steps that you define will be populating the steps here in the milestone. As you can see, step 1, 2, and 3. If I increase one more step, it will be step 4. So it does not it is not a mandatory condition to keep step 1, step 2, step 3. You can choose anything. For example, when you get a customer onboarding, right? So let's suppose we are creating customer onboarding form or client onboarding form. So in the entire client onboarding process, there are various checks. So for example, background verification form, and then non-disclosure agreement. So I'm just putting random values. So in a process, these kind of steps can be followed, whether it is like the process of if you are getting into an agreement with another company. So there are some background verifications that you need to fill up so that both parties can do BGBs on each other. Then there is a non-disclosure agreement, and then there is a memorandum of understanding that you have to acknowledge. For example, and as you can see right now, there are three steps: uh, final closure checks. Just giving you rough terminologies which can be a part of a milestone. So as of now, if I don't need these labels, so either you can write it like don't even like code the label, but if you are coding the label and you don't want the label to be visible, make it collapsed. So if you make the label collapsed, it will be like this. So as you can see right now, we are at the initial step and we have to build a logic so that the steps can move ahead one by one. So how the steps will be moving ahead one by one? So we need a button or something as a action so that the user can click and move ahead in the next step. So before moving that, let's create a variable that will hold the values that will make a logic so that we are actually putting conditions on that variable so that it is moving from one to another step. Let's cut it out. Put local variables. Sorry, a bang local variables, local bang test, and then put the milestone field. Now let's use a button so that we can click on next. So we will be using a bang button layout, primary buttons as a property, a bang button widget. Inside the button widget, we will be using label for the button as next. Like if you configure a button, there are too many configurations, but I'll use the essential ones only. So icon, I can use arrow. I'm not sure that it will work on arrow part. Yeah, one thing I'm missing, that the button layout will be a part of the list defined in the final expression area of locals. Icon is not uh, reflecting. Let's put check. This is the best I remember right now. So label icon, we have to use value. What will be the value? Value will be, okay, you can keep value as anything. Let's keep value as true, or you can keep a local variable. So let's choose a local variable, current milestone step. And in the value, if it is true, then you can choose save into a bank save, local bank current milestone step. Now we are, when the user will click on next, right? So let's declare connect current milestone step as one. Right now, if you see that, if you even if you test, you see it starts with null. So it should not start with null. It should start with one. Test it now. It starts with one. Now in the save into property, we are having current milestone step, right? So every time the user clicks on next, it has to increment. So I'll increment with local bank current milestone step plus one. Now this save can be infinite because the user can click next as many as times. So we need to put a condition, right? So how many number of steps we have? Step 1, step 2, step 3, and step 4. How many definitions we are having? 4. So let me put a condition here. Let me cut this code. If local bank current milestone step is less than or equal to 4. Let me show you till 3, then you will identify the condition. Then increment on the click of the button. Else don't do anything. It will be an empty list. Now format the code and you're done with button, right? Just like we created a button to increment, we can create a similar button to decrement. So let me copy this. Secondary buttons, a bank button widget. Sorry, I have copied, right? Instead of incrementing here, we will be decrementing local bank current milestone step minus 1. Now here I have to put the condition if greater than or equal to 1. If it is still 1, then decrement. The moment it comes till 1, then it will stop. Back. I don't remember the icon, so forget about the icon right now. So this is back and this is next. So let's see if it is working as our expectations. So we are having the next the milestone step is increasing, but the background verification form is not going to not we are not moving to the next steps as the milestone is increasing, and it is stuck at 4, right? What is the condition? We need to refresh. If the current milestone step is less than or equal to 3, then increment, else don't increment. So the problem here is the milestone is not incrementing because whatever the current milestone step variable is incrementing the counter, it is not aligned to the milestone, right? So the active property is the property that's hold the value for the current counter. So if you see active here, where it is active, so index of the current step. So when null, all steps are in the future. When -1, all steps are completed. So let's suppose if I do active -1, right, you'll see all steps are completed. So you can put a condition that if current milestone step is less than or equal is less than or equal to 3, is less than 4, then do this. Else, if we can use a nested if condition here. We can choose if local bank current milestone step is equal to 4, then we have to save -1 so that it gets completed. A bank save local bank current milestone step as -1, else you have to save an empty list. Format the code. I'm just doing it at runtime. Let's see how it behaves. Now this counter variable will be local bank current milestone step. Let's see how it goes. We click on next, counter incremented, next, incremented. The moment it goes till 4 and we click on 1, the moment it goes till 4, it goes till 4, but now the current milestone step is -1, correct? So this is how it is. As you can see, if we go next and we try to go back, we can go back also. From background to non-disclosure, we can go back. But we can put conditions that if the current milestone step is at 4, the back button gets invisible. You cannot go back after memorandum of understanding. So we can put certain conditions on the basis of current milestone step. I hope you are able to understand the logic now. Now next, how to call different interfaces uh, under this. So let's create a new interface, UP testing interface. So we just created a testing interface. I'll quickly drop a section layout and I'll add a dynamic rule input which will tell me the heading of the actual milestone. So if we are at background verification form, right? So we have to save this somewhere, right? So instead of background verification form, let's put the current condition here, right? So we can choose current step. It will be a number integer. Let's click on create. Now in this section. I'll use concat. What will be the heading? Interface, interface space, comma, RI bank, current step. Just save it, and before button layout and below milestone field, we will have a choose function. What is the use of choose function? Choose is nothing but you will have a key which we already have. On the basis of that key, you will have a list of choices, right? So the moment the key changes, the value that is returned by this function changes on the basis of the choice list. So my key will be local bank, current milestone step, and different choice list will be having for the interface calls. So what will be the interface calls? UPV underscore testing interface. Rule bank UP underscore testing, small one. Sorry, UP rule bank UP underscore testing interface. Now, as you can see, there is a rule input called current step. Here we will be using local bank current milestone step. So it is nothing but it is acting as a formal argument for this interface call. And as you can see, this is because we are at milestone 1. So this interface is populating the one value from the current milestone step inside this rule input value, which is of type number integer, as a child interface. So this interface is utilized dynamically based upon the uh, step that we are there, right? So we are at background verification form. So we are at interface 1. You can drop anything in the child interface based upon the conditions, and that's how it is. So right now we are having 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 steps, right? So we need 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 interfaces. Let's see the magic now. Click on test and save changes. Next, you go to interface 2. Means technically in the interface 2, you will be having a detailed form for non-disclosure agreement. In the first interface, background verification, there will be background verification details. You have to fill out all your addresses, all your corporate addresses, your stuff and stuff which is related to background verification. Next, you will have non-disclosure, that is interface 2 that you will call here. Instead of this interface, second call, you will call your actual interface 2. It is not necessary that the testing interface would be utilized multiple times. There can be in the real-time scenario, there can be different interfaces here, right? Next, we have a memorandum of understanding. Then we have final closure checks. And the moment we are done with final interface 4, we can proceed with the next button. Okay, we are having a missing rule call here. Based upon the final configuration, it is asking that in order to make it final, we need to at least define a step. So let's see if we define this, what happens. If we define the fifth step here, next, 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 next. Choose minus, okay. The choose is failing because of the index -1. I got it. I got the error. So basically, choose requires a positive value. Index at least should be a positive value. That's why it is failing at the milestone. So basically, we can use choose, but there are other ways to implement things. Choose is just a function. So it depends what works with our recipe and what works with our implementation. There are multiple ways to do a particular thing. But the goal to understand how the milestone work is satisfied with our actual logic, what we have implemented right now. If you really liked my implementation, please drop a like, comment, and subscribe this channel. If you really want to know any other topic that I need to explain next, drop it in the comments. This really motivates me if you subscribe my channel, and this is the only fuel of my motivation. So keep on learning and keep growing. Thanks.